And we're back for another Creators Collective. I'm glad to have everyone here today because we are going to have another fun week. I know we're having a whole bunch of fun weeks in a row here. This week, we're going to be talking about whatever you want to talk about. So if you have any questions, leave them in the live chat. If you are not live, then maybe you should look that up. We are live every Thursday on the Creators Collective YouTube channel, and you can ask your questions there, and we will answer them if we get time to get to them, which we usually do. So, yeah, let's dive into what we got rolling around this week. Zach, what you got?
I have so much stuff to talk about. I think somebody else should go first because otherwise you guys will drop out before I'm done.
I don't know. Will's list is pretty long.
All right, let's start with you,
Mine's
James.
longer.
My list is the exact same thing I've been working on for the last 3 weeks, the glue test, and I'll probably be working on it for another 3 weeks or so, because it's an immense amount of work, and I've already spent a little over $1,000 on it. So it's a fairly expensive test with all of the lumber needed for it and all of the testing equipment. So it's labor intensive, and I probably have another 3 weeks worth of work of just gluing little blocks onto bigger boards so I can test the glue, because I need to do 10 of each glue on each test. So each glue I'm testing, I need to clamp 40 boards on there. Well, how many people have 40 clamps that they can have that are the exact same pressure? So I went out and I bought 40. Well, actually, I bought like 50 spring clamps.
Jeez.
And so then I went through and tested them all to make sure they all have the same pressure. And some of them I was able to bend the spring back a little bit more and make sure that they all had the exact same pressure. So now I can do one glue at a time. So if the glue needs to have the clamp for, overnight, like some of the epoxies, it means I have to wait a whole nother day to put the next glue on. And then do it again and again.
You could have bought like 40 scales and like put them between the clamp and the wood.
Yeah.
And then had a scale giveaway.
Yeah, yes.
Which would go over very poorly in our community.
But I'm really looking forward to this because it's kind of one of those tests that, we all kind of have an idea of what will be the outcome, but no one's ever really done this deep of a test before, so it should be kind of interesting. But yeah, other than that, I've actually been working on sharpening saws now that I have a saw vise. And the big thing is this last week I put out a video asking, because I have a scroll saw that I purchased a while ago, but it's missing the table, it's missing the flywheel and the pedals. So it's basically the frame and the arms for it. So I put out a video talking about that and getting ready to do the restoration on it. And then I had someone contact me, and they have a table for it, actually original table to fit the flywheel, so to fit the scroll saw. So I'm looking forward to actually getting this thing up and running and doing a couple videos on restoring it. This is kind of the next step after the glue test.
Very cool. I remember looking for some old flywheels years ago for like an industrial furniture project. And I remember they were hard to find, like in good condition, that weren't crazy expensive, like,
and that fit the application.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing I'm finding with this. A lot of the collectors that I'm talking to who actually collect these scroll saws or other foot powered tools say, I've never seen a flywheel for that tool in existence other than, in a finished project where you can buy a finished piece. They just don't exist in the wild separately.
Could you get something like, do you know anybody that does any custom castings?
Yeah, actually, that's I have a contact with a guy in Chicago who is a manager at a foundry where they actually will cast iron. And
cool.
So I'm trying to see if I can get one and get all the measurements I need, because not only do you want it to be the right diameter so that the saw is running at the correct speed, you also want it to be the right weight. And a lot of people think, you want a flywheel to be as heavy as possible. But in the case of a scroll saw, you want to be able to control the speed easily. And so if it gets too heavy, then it's a problem to stop, and it just keeps going. So you want it to be light enough that you can control it and stop it when you want to, but then heavy enough that you're not, constantly putting the power in with your foot. So kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, I've never been much of a scroll saw fan. I have one and I've used it like twice, but I know it's like a whole other like thing.
Like the
Like,
lathe.
You see
yeah,
like the scroll saw scribbler stuff, and you're just like, nah, it's I'm not gonna ever be able to put that amount of skill into this. Is it Justin Christensen? Is that?
yeah, he does awesome stuff.
I don't know if anybody's not following him. Like, you need to at least look him up on Instagram. His work, he does like, I mean, like it would be amazing if it were painted, but it's not. It's just wood cut out. I mean, it's incredible the stuff that he puts out. So check his stuff out. Anyway,
Cool.
sorry, didn't mean to interject, but
Well, what you got, Will?
Oh man, I've got a whole bunch of stuff. So I finished the Cherry live edge slab vanity, got that delivered to the homeowner's addition bathroom remodel. But the plumbers still had to come in and put the P-trap in and everything. And so I have to go back to install the shelves because I didn't know where the P-trap was going to be under the sink, and I didn't want the shelves to interfere with that. I got started and actually got a lot done on a spalted hackberry live edge countertop for a vanity that will go wall to wall. It's about 30 inches deep and 6 feet wide. And yesterday I went over to the homeowner's house and scribed a template for the space. And it was out. The walls were out like all over the place. I think it was like a 1/4 inch. There's a 1/4 inch belly from end to end. And then the walls were out of square. So I took some Luan, a sheet of Luan, ripped it to 30 inches and then cut it in half and then made a template where I could set it over the existing sink. I just set some boards up to support the Luan and then scribed the walls with a pencil and a scrap block of wood writing the walls. So I've got to get that starting to fit, starting to shape that to fit the template. Then I'm going to finish that with a new finish that I haven't tried before, but I'm really excited. I ordered it. It's an imported finish. It's from Germany. It's called Osmo Top Oil, and it's supposed to be like this bulletproof countertop finish that is amazing. It's pretty expensive though. It's like $50 for a ½ liter, and then you have to pay the shipping because it's imported. But apparently 2 coats and it's bulletproof. So I'm thinking I'm actually going to do a finishes video where I test, 5 or 6 of the most popular finishes out there, from polyurethane to armor seal to Danish oil to shellac to paste wax, and then this Osmo Top Oil. So that, I think that'll be a good video that people, highly searchable and should be useful to people, because I get people asking me questions about what to finish what with like daily. What else am I working on? I'm going to look at a walnut dining table build. I just got an email yesterday from a woman who said that she had a walnut log milled. It had sat for 5 years and then she had it milled. Now it's been stickered and stacked for 3 years. So I'm going to go check the moisture content of that walnut and just generally take a look at the stock, give her a quote on that. I'm about to start building a media console for Tools Today. That'll be a video for their website. And I'm a little hesitant on starting that build because their inspiration board that they sent me on what they think they might want it to look like has sliding louvered cabinet doors. And that sounds like a lot of work. I've never made a louvered door, but it just looks like a lot of small pieces and a complicated glue up. And
I louvered this door.
So I'm pretty hesitant on that. I might try to talk them out of that. Also, Grizzly is just releasing a new two new bowl lathes, which aren't even on the market yet. And I'm pretty excited. I might get one of the first ones of those. There's a 24 by 24. So there's 24 inches of swing over the bed, and then there's a 16 by 24. So there's 16 inches of swing over the bed, and then I think you can slide the headstock to the ways and get 27 inches of swing. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. They aren't in yet. Like I said, they should get in May, I think, and I'll probably get one of the first ones of those. And just really excited about that. And then the last thing that's going on with me is back to school, film school Friday. This will be the third installment releasing tomorrow, and it has been hasn't gotten a lot of views, a ton of views per my channel, but all of the feedback and the response from the community is overwhelmingly positive, that people are loving that I'm doing this series. So I think I'm going to keep it going. Tomorrow's video is going to be about video lighting in your shop and just light in general. So I think that should be a popular video. And I think that's everything that's going on with me. How about you, Zach?
So much. I am run down probably alongside all the other people that have pretty much left Workbench Con, went home, unpacked their luggage, threw it in the washer, dryer, back in the luggage, back on a plane. So right after Workbench Con, we had a couple of days, and then we went to the Lincoln Electric Spring Make event in Cleveland, and that was my first time in Cleveland. And it's actually a pretty cool city. Like it's one of those cities where the whole like industrial part of town is being like renovated, and a lot of really cool like creative spaces, maker spaces, and like furniture stores and stuff. I'm trying to find the page here. There we go. So yeah, it was really neat. I was in a class with, it was Jimmy DiResta, April Wilkerson, Laura Kampf, Johnny Brooke, Brad Rodriguez, John Malecki, handful of other local makers, and we just spent pretty much 3 days in the Lincoln Electric headquarters, which is gigantic. And we spent 3 days in there pretty much working on whatever welding we wanted to do. So I got to spend a lot of time doing TIG welding on aluminum and steel, stainless, and even like some silicon bronze brazing, which was a lot of fun. So one of my upcoming videos here in the near future is going to be a MIG and TIG cart, so I can start using my TIG welder, because I have some aluminum stuff I've picked up that I have some project ideas for. So that was a lot of fun. Let's see. Put out a couple of new videos since our last talk. I put out the that big sculpture that I did for the law firm, put that video out. And also I did a live stream when we were up in Cleveland of just all of us kind of eating dinner and hanging out. So that was the first YouTube live stream I've ever done. It was actually kind of neat just to see all the, questions and be able to pass the phone around. And so that was neat. I'm considering doing like one live stream Q&A thing a month. So I don't have anything official yet, but stay tuned for that. Also started a closed Facebook group, ZH Fabrications Maker Group on Facebook. I get so many emails and pictures of people asking me questions, and people sending me pictures of their projects that either I've influenced or stuff that they just want to share with me. So the Facebook business pages are kind of a joke, but with the closed group, I kind of want to run a forum, and there's a ton of people joining. So if anybody's interested in that, send me a request and I'll add you. So that's really exciting. The spring make thing. Cut out a sign that's going to be a project video on their Torchmate plasma table, which I think there's a picture of. Looks like a high school yearbook picture of Jimmy DiResta holding the sign that they cut out. It's pretty funny.
I saw that.
Yeah. Welding cart, camera stuff. So I am actively seeking out a 24-70 2.8 lens. If anybody has one that they want to get rid of, let me know. I will probably buy it off of you.
For a Canon EF mount.
Yes. Let me know soon, because I have to start some projects and I'm going to need it, and I'm impatient. So, yeah, and a shout out to Mark Adams, who took the most beautiful picture of me I have ever seen in my life. I know that sounds incredibly conceited, but I looked at it and I'm like, man, I look good. So, it was just this guy in the maker space up there, and he was just, if you guys see my Instagram, there's a black and white picture of the group photo of everybody, and it's really neat. So, yeah, that's
You did look good there.
So yeah, it's been a really busy 2 weeks, and today's like my down day. I'm just worn out from not sleeping and traveling and staying out late and eating terrible food. So I am probably not going to do much of anything today, but I am really excited to get back into the shop tomorrow and get moving on some of these upcoming projects I have. So that's what's new in my life.
Cool. And if you guys haven't seen Zach's sculpture video, he talks about upping his video production game. I think it's one of the best videos Zach's ever put out. It just looks inviting. Makes you wants to like come into the video and like stay for a while and watch. It was not only was the project like incredible and insane, because I do some metal fabrication, welding, cutting of steel, and gluing it together with hot electric pixies. But I watched Zach build this sculpture and just kind of went, what? Like, I couldn't do that. And the video production is just really I am excited to see this endeavor for you and to see your.
I can't remember if I said it last podcast, but yeah, like, just within like the past couple weeks, I finally I see the light with like video production, and I'm starting to understand it. As I've always seen it as just kind of a necessary evil on the internet. So I'm just going to stick the camera in these different places and cut it all together and put it on the internet. But like, it's only been recently since I've kind of thought like, well, this is part of the art. Like this is, I mean, it's obvious, but you know, it's like the vehicle to deliver what you're doing. And I mean, that's all they see is how you shoot it. They don't actually see the project. So it's how you convey that message is an art of itself. And that's new to me. So with that video, actually the very first scenes in there, I ordered a new Canon 60 camera, and the first like 5 or 6 scenes of me like sketching stuff out is actually on the new camera. I just didn't record it initially. So all like 90% of the video is on my old camera, and I just shot it the way that I normally shoot it, but I edited the video with kind of more care. So yeah, I'm excited to do some I'm excited to start seeing, kind of develop a style and see where it takes me. So yeah, thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, man. Ooh, and I forgot one other thing that I'm working on, because I've been doing such big projects, like these big vanities and tables, and you know, just things that take up a lot of space in my shop while the glue dries. I asked on Facebook on my personal page, I asked people out there what sort of small home goods they would want, you know, for small projects where I could, you know, batch some stuff out while some glue dries or some finish dries. So I'm working on a live edge mulberry charcuterie board with quarter-sawn curly maple bow tie keys with epoxy filled cracks and stuff like that. And then there is, I'm going to probably start making some coasters, which that is a good segue to one of the questions that we have this week. Yeah. So, yeah. So let's see. Humble Home asked, I'm making my first set of wood coasters. A friend of mine recommended finishing them with a poly finish. Any suggestions would be appreciated. Dustin. James, I want to let you take this one first.
Well, I mean, coasters you don't have to worry about, you know, food safe even though it's kind of like around food, but if you're eating off your coaster, you got other problems. So I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, and also, you know, is it in grain or is it flat grain? Is it flat sawn? Because if it's in grain, it's going to want to soak up more. You know, how are you wanting to do that? Like a penetrating epoxy will soak into the wood, and still leave that wood grain textured surface, but be as hard as plastic. That would be a good source if you want that kind of what's what I'm looking for, wood feeling. But if you're using anything with in grain, then it just runs through the board, which, you know, may be a good thing. The other one is the oh, what is the name of that stuff? It's like Ole's. It's a marine varnish that I really like. I'll be doing it on a birdhouse coming up here soon. And it's a two-step process. One is like a penetrating, thinner varnish that soaks in, and the other one actually sits on the top. I like it because it gives that very light poly look, like you would see with polyurethane, but it is completely waterproof. It's designed to coat wooden boats. So if you put a cup on it, there's not a problem with that. But I mean, all that being said, if it's going to be a flat grain, I really like just simple poly, because poly is actually fairly good at sealing edge grain or excuse me, edge grain or flat grain surface.
And
It
groin.
actually works very well. Yeah. But if it's an ingroin, if it's ingroin,
got ya.
all the holes then become a point that water can soak down into it further. In that case, poly doesn't work quite as well.
Right. You're basically trying to put poly on a bunch of straws.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's my go-to. If it's an ingrain, then, you know, a marine varnish or an epoxy of some kind.
What about like epiphanes?
Yeah, that's basically the exact same thing as the other one I was talking about.
Okay.
I've
So
only
I'm
used
really,
epiphanes once before though, so I'm not as familiar with it.
so I'm really interested to try this Osmo Top Oil. I saw one review where a guy made a white oak shaker stool, put 2 quick coats on it, or put 1 coat on, came back 8 hours later, put another coat on, waited 8 hours, then took a cup of hot coffee and he spilled some on the stool and then sat his coffee on it and left it for 27 hours. And he came back and he picked up the coffee cup and he wiped it right off with some water, and there was absolutely no stain. And I just thought that was pretty incredible. So that's what made me order that.
Stuff to experiment with.
Yeah. So I think any kind of poly would be fine for coasters, especially like you said, James. You're not, you know, chewing on them. They're not like, unless you have maybe a kid in the house that likes to chew on things.
Even that, in all honesty, once a finish is cured, it's food safe.
Yeah, according to the FDA.
Yeah,
There's no more chemical reactions happening after, you know, the metallic dryers are all gone, and it just might, you know, see some flaky stuff in your poop.
Yeah. I mean, if that's something you're actually worried about, then there's always beeswax.
Yeah,
it's a water repelling surface. So
cool.
I wanted to. We need to address something before I forget. So we had kind of a blunder last week when we were talking about our.
I'm sorry.
Our photo.
I said I'm sorry already.
That's all right. That's all right. So when James was researching whether hashtag CC challenge was a thing or not, there was a typo, and apparently it's like one of the most popular hashtags on the whole Instagram
for makeup.
So yeah, for like makeup. So we have this is kind of funny. We've been polluting like makeup Instagram with a bunch of pictures of hand planes, which I think is great, but it's not really the best way to see all of the posts that we've got out there. So I propose that we extend the hand plane picture challenge for another week.
Okay.
And I seriously, I had the best idea for a shot, and I just got into town last night, and I was exhausted. We recorded the podcast. I left town the next day, and I just got back, so I haven't had a chance to. I haven't even been home to shoot a picture. So,
and you were so jazzed about it too. You were like, "I'm getting out my shop like right now. I'm doing it."
Yeah, I've been like I've been biting off a lot more than I can chew lately. So. I'm finally going to have some time this week, so I'll probably shoot that picture either today or tomorrow. So I think we push that one out another week. I would love to hear your guys' ideas for the next week's challenge. And so if post those in the live chat or something, and we'll consider those. But yeah, if you have posted your hand plane, can you go back and add a hashtag to it, and it'll show up in whatever new feed we decide to put it under?
Yeah, and so I actually just sitting here looked up creators photo challenge is not taken, so that could be a good hashtag for these.
Make sure you spell it correctly.
How about CC photo challenge? Or maybe we should just do creators collective. Why don't we just do that?
That's a long one. Or just creators collective.
Just that. Is there another one of those? Let's look. Let's find out really quick.
Creators collective. Remember, there's no spell check on.
I know that's the most frustrating thing ever. They should have
For those asking,
button.
this is on Instagram.
There are 2,000 posts for Creators Collective. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Come on, world.
What happened to Creators Photo Challenge?
It's long. We could do it. What about CC Photo Challenge?
I think we looked that one up.
Typing. CC Photo Challenge. Photo or photos?
259 public posts.
Oh my God. What is going on?
Creators Photo Challenge. I think that I know it's long, but
what creators? Is that what you said?
Creators Photo Challenge. Yeah.
Creator or creators?
Creators, because we are the Creators Collective.
Creators Photo Challenge.
No hashtags found.
I think we found the only combination of letters that is not associated with a hashtag. That's great. So if you've taken a picture, I think you can just add the hashtag and it'll add it, right? Even if you posted it like a week ago.
Yep.
It should, yeah.
If you put it in the comments.
So yeah, if you did post that, add that hashtag to it so that we can see it, because a lot of them I feel like got lost in the flood of makeup pictures. So that is the new hashtag.
And everyone who already has, you guys have been tagging the Creators Collective podcast, and that has been awesome. There are some really, really great ones, and I know we're extending it a week. But two guys that I want to shout out. I know we're going to extend it, but whatever. I'm going to shout them out anyway. Caleb Harris from You Can Make This Too. Your photo was really, really great. And then the Kids Tool Crib. I can't remember your first name. I'm sorry, and you don't have it listed on Instagram. But he's an author of a book that is intended to be a kind of introduction to kids and woodworking. And I know he's sent me at least a copy, and I know he's sent some copies out to some of the other social media.
The most amazing the most amazing Instagram channel for hand tools.
Yeah. And he posted a really cool photo of a wooden plane that had a concave, concave, or is it convex? Concave surface sole. And it was just, I don't know, it was just really excellent work. Anyway, those are two. But
my favorite that I've seen so far, and I've only seen like 3 of them because they get buried, but Prowl_Ben. He has a really just well lit shot of a bunch of hand planes, and one of them has a little dinosaur on it. That's probably my favorite one that I've seen so far. But at least wanted to give some shout outs this week since we're extending it one more.
Can one of you guys put that in the show notes?
Yes.
Yeah.
So make sure it's spelled correctly.
Yes. So get your hand plane pictures. What was the goal? If anybody missed the last podcast, is to create like a emotional environment or something, right? Like I don't know how
Yeah,
to put
it
that into
was
words.
to create a feeling
Yes.
with a photo of a hand plane, whether that be dark, somber, productive, happy, shiny, distraught, broken, just to invoke an emotion with a photo of a hand plane.
Yes, I like
And
it.
no professional strobes. You can use LEDs, you can use many different light sources, whatever, but no like professional like strobe shots, because I want this to be accessible to everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, hashtag creators photo challenge. Yes. Okay, back on
Cool.
track.
We put it in the show notes.
We're getting this
Awesome.
figured out. This is like a new segment. This is a new thing, so bear with us when we get it figured out. But I think we have a pretty good. We should do. Oh, we talked about it last time. We wanted to do like a 10-minute segment of ask William about ask us, but pretty much mostly William about any questions you guys have with filming or photography or anything like that. Right? Do we have a name for that segment yet?
Not yet. We'll still work on that, but you've been kind of all over the place, so we haven't really had a chance to.
Yeah, I know. I'm back. So yeah, if you guys have any awesome punny names for the segment, throw those up in the live chat and we might use them. But I'll kick it off with a question that I have. I've been trying to look around and see how different angles, like how different camera angles convey information differently. And I haven't really found anything that's useful yet. I mean, other than just kind of the obvious things of, you put the camera lower and you look bigger, you put it higher and you look shorter, and like the very obvious things.
Okay, so what's the actual question?
How did you say with the hand planes? It was really concise, convey feeling. So like how can different camera angles convey a different, like invoke a different like feeling, like versus looking up at something, looking down at it, looking at work level or whatever.
Sure.
How does that change the feeling that is conveyed?
Since we work in mostly inanimate objects where our subject matter is, usually a piece of wood or metal or tool or ourselves, I'm going to convert this into how a portrait artist would shoot something. So back in the day when I used to do a lot of freelance editorial work and shoot for newspapers and magazines and things like that, if I was going to shoot, say, a high-powered businessman, if I was going to photograph a high-powered businessman to show power, if I was outside, I would get lower to where their head and shoulders would be above the horizon line. And that kind of shows like this like impending power, like this, I am a powerful man I'm above the world, right? Like I am not that these people thought that they were above everything else, but where
Jeff Grum, if you want to show teenage frivolity, it's best to be done in a bathroom mirror.
Yeah, with the duck face. Did you do a lot of duck face?
the duck face wasn't a thing until I was outside of editorial, but now I think I might use that in some future shoots. Okay, now give me duck face, give me pouty I don't care because I'm a model look.
Yeah,
give me slumpy bad posture.
I think I'm gonna start doing that in my actual videos. I'll just be building the turn of the camera. Like every shot, like after the end of every, just gonna crouch down or turn around to the camera. So,
for anybody that's listening to this later, if you are in the YouTube live stream, Zach is doing some amazing duck facing.
That's duck facing. That sounds even better than just duck face. Like I like the adjective.
Yeah, it's a verb,
form,
you know.
Or verb form,
yeah. No, so that's a good question. So I think it's less angles, more focal length. So in video and film, if directors show something, it needs to be important unless it's direction, like for the end of a film. But so if, like, say you're about to do a lot of work with a grinder, and the grinder has, the Arbor Tech, the turbo plane on it, and I would back up and shoot that with a long focal length to show the importance of this tool, rather than just have a super wide shot and from the corner of your shop where you just kind of grab the plane, the grinder.
So
and
when you say
start getting to work.
when you say long focal length, like why would you do that over just getting close to it with a short focal length?
Because of lens compression, and
which leads me to my next question that I didn't know was my question, but great segue. What's that?
Lens compression. So if you start with a very wide focal length, for this instance, we'll just say 24 millimeters, because that's what kind of lens that's the widest that the types of lens that you're looking for will go. If you make the subject about the same size in the frame, so filling about as much of the frame as all the other focal lengths, and then continually back up and use a longer focal length. So start with a 24, then maybe shoot it at 35, then 50, then 70. And then if you have anything longer, like a 200 or a 300 millimeter lens, you'll notice that in the 24 millimeter shot, everything in the background looks very far away, like it's out of reach. Whereas you get up into, say, 200 millimeters, with filling the subject and filling the frame
out of the screen.
Yeah. The lens compression makes the background look very, 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 very close. Like you could almost reach the back of the shop.
So you get more flat. It kind of flattens the dimension of the image.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the percentage of distance from you to the subject to the background.
Okay.
The more of the distance between the camera and the subject, the smaller the distance between the subject and the background appears.
So the further you get from the object, the closer the background and the object will appear to each other, and vice versa.
Correct. Yeah.
So now your reason for your shooting with the Arbor Tech Astro Plane 2000 squared grinder extension cutter, and you prefer to shoot it from far away and flatten the image. I don't know if that's the heck is that. Do you guys hear that?
I heard that. Yeah.
That was my GFCI somewhere in the house. Hopefully it's not on fire. Anyway, so you're I'll check later. So you're like, I don't smell anything, so I think we're good. So you're shooting with like a zoom lens from. Why would you prefer that versus shooting up close and getting that blurry, distant background?
I mean, it's really personal preference, and it's up to the photographer, cinematographer, videographer, director, whatever you want to call them. But to me, it shows importance, and it shows isolation of a certain thing. It's like, we are supposed to be looking at this. This is the important thing in this shot. And they would have only shown us that shot because this was important. Where you very well could get close and have a shallow depth of field. It's just a different shot. And I think long focal lengths are just more flattering to not only people, but objects as well.
Okay.
There's less distortion, like if I was taking a picture of this coffee cup, if I wanted to make it look like super tall and weird, I would shoot it really wide. But if I just wanted a pretty picture of this coffee cup, I would stand farther back with a longer focal length.
So more compression equates to more distortion. So a wider angle closer is going to give you more compression than
it'll give you less compression. A longer focal length will give you more compression, bringing the background closer to the subject. But a good example is shoot a photo of your wife. Okay, shoot a photo of your wife in focus at 24 millimeters, close to her face, and then zoom in and stand back and take another picture of her and see which one she likes best.
Okay.
Her nose will look bigger and wider. Her forehead will look a little bit distorted. Her ears will look further back.
This is getting weird, man.
No, it's just it's a more just do that experiment. Take a picture at a wide focal length of someone you love that you think is pretty, and then do one at a longer focal length and see which one that they prefer of themselves.
Okay.
And then equate that to things in your shop.
So if you have a thing for giant noses and large foreheads, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
What do you say we get on to joke of the week?
Yes, we have one.
I do.
Nice.
How does an elephant get into a walnut tree? He sits on a walnut and waits.
That isn't even funny, which makes it hilarious.
That's like wah wah.
Have you guys there's something called the anti-joke. I don't know if you guys have heard of such a thing. It's been a long time, but if you search for it, like there's this comedian and his whole gig is to get up there and like have this huge build up for what seems like it's going to be a great joke. And then it's exactly what would normally happen in everyday life. So it's like everybody in the crowd just hates him. It's actually kind of funny. So anyway,
that would be
as usual.
That would be very frustrating.
What are you watching, Will?
Andrea Arzensek, Andrea's workshop. He is a guy in Croatia. Super nice. When I was in Croatia, I didn't have time to meet up with him, but he's a really nice guy, and we've become internet friends since. But he just put out a video on an apothecary cabinet, where it's just absolutely beautiful, hand cut dovetails, half blind dovetail, apothecary drawers. There's a bunch of drawers, and he just did a really, really great job with the build. It looked really time consuming, but it's kind of made me want to make one. But yeah, so Andrea's workshop, his apothecary cabinet. He put out a few different videos. He broke it down into parts, and then he did a master full build video after everything was all done. But yeah, go check them out.
Well, for me, I have Evan and Caitlin YouTube channel, and they have recently been doing really well and a growing channel. They do a lot of interesting making. So they have an X carve, and then they do odds and ends, this and that, and craft projects and furniture builds and building just about anything. But a great couple to watch, and they make their videos very watchable. They just recently did one where they made what is it? Well, it wasn't recently; it was back in November. But they made catapults for mashed potatoes. A really dumb video, but it was a really good, enjoyable video to watch. But they've been doing quite a few other things. They just did one with Simone Getz, who's with a robot arm. Kind of fun.
But she's hilarious in her own right.
Yes.
Simone Getz, I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah. I met them for the first time in Workbench Con, and one of the things I didn't know is how tall they both are. Like, I just kind of assumed that like Evan was, maybe like 6'1" or something, and that Caitlin was, normal
5'8".
Yeah, no, they're both pretty tall. It was like Evan's. I don't know how tall he is, but they're taller than they look. that's completely useless information, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
You would never know that, especially from like Johnny Brooks' video collaboration with them, because he was doing his Johnny squat on his workbench while they were standing on the workbench floor. So I was like, cheater.
Yeah. Were his shoulders above the horizon?
Well, they were in the shop, so it was hard to tell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Zach, what are you watching, reading?
I am watching. Well, I'm not watching much, but before I took off, last week I was watching your stuff and also Laura Kampf, and I got to hang out with her again in where were we? Cleveland, and she's awesome. I mean, she's definitely one of my favorite people that I've met. And I mean, everybody's great in the community, but she's just super cool, super positive, just fun to be around. So, and her videos, and I just love the way she shoots her stuff. So she's just awesome. Yeah.
Agreed.
Really like her.
Cool.
Well, since you're talking, what's your favorite product or tool of the week?
My favorite product of the week is that. Well, I get a lot of people that ask me about the metal finishing and the patina and all that stuff that I do. And so I'm going to go with Black Magic by Sculpt Nouveau. And that's just essentially you get your material down to bare metal. And I usually hit it with like a cleaner degreaser or denatured alcohol. And then this Black Magic stuff, you just spray it on. It smells terrible. So, I mean, you can feel yourself dying a little bit, but
I love that feeling.
Yeah, I imagine it's what mustard gas smells like. And so wear a mask with it. But you spray that stuff on, let it sit for a few minutes. If you feel like burnishing it, you can. If not, you actually rinse it off with water. And I used to do lacquer on everything, but now I just do a bunch of coats of metal wax, and it holds up great. And it's just a really cool alternative to just painting stuff black, because you get like a nice patina. It looks like weathered and has a lot more character than just black.
Have you used Jax before?
I haven't. I think a lot of that stuff is kind of similar.
Okay. I've always used Jax. I haven't had a chance to check out the Sculpt Nouveau Black Magic, but Jax doesn't smell horrible.
Well, the other stuff, like Sculpt Nouveau has always been really cool. Like I started talking to them a while ago, and they just have so many different. See, I use a stuff called copper plate. Everything else smells fine. Like just the black, I don't know what it is, whatever chemical is in there, but it works really well. But they have that copper plate stuff. It's the same product that I used in that anvil stand that I did a while ago. But you can combine that with like the Black Magic and get like this cool kind of like almost a oiled bronze kind of thing. That's what I did on the base of the sculpture. So, but I just like them because they have a whole bunch of different cool products. They have like rainbow patinas, and I have a whole sorts of stuff that I've haven't found a use for yet. But yeah, so that's my pick of the week.
Sweet.
Cool.
What you got, Will?
I am going to go with a small bicolor LED panel for video. I will be featuring this in tomorrow's Film School Friday. But they're like, I don't know, $30 or so. And they use the NP 550 through the NP 950 batteries, which are like a universal. A lot of video accessories utilize this style battery. So my digital monitors, my LED lights that I have in the shop, they all run off the same type of battery. So you can kind of load up on a bunch of them and just keep a bunch of them charged. But the small LED video light, I make a simple stand for it. I call it Woody. It's a little wooden LED mounting block that I can move around my bench and around my shop really super easily fast. And yeah, so tomorrow's video is about lighting and using this and what it looks like with and without it. And it's just a great addition to the shop if you're shooting any kind of video or photos. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. How about you, James?
Well, for me, I have a wax warmer because I like to wax my legs, and it is very useful for that. No, actually, for hide glue, in the past, I've used a double boiler. Well, a while ago, I had an old cast iron double boiler that I put on a hot plate, but it cracked and started leaking, and it doesn't work very well. So I stopped using hide glue, and I only used it a few times for that. But I was looking at getting, electronic double boiler, but they're all like, $100, $120. But you can pick up a wax warmer that does the exact same thing and will hold the temperature perfectly for like 25, $30. So I picked one of those up, and I have been loving it for the hide glue. And anytime where I need to heat something up like that, I'm thinking about using it for making my paste waxes as well, because it gets warm enough so I can actually melt the wax down and add in my oils. So that
How
should make
how hot does it need to get? Does your hide glue need to get?
For hide glue, for your natural hide glue, you're looking at somewhere around like 130, 135.
Okay.
Normally you don't
set
want
it
to
in
get
my
much
shop,
over like
that'd be
140.
I was just thinking if somebody couldn't find a wax warmer, if they could find something like a baby bottle warmer, like at a consignment,
Yeah,
like
you
at
can
a
get warmer than
thrift
that.
shop. Okay, all right.
Just move to Florida and you'll be fine.
Just put it outside.
My shop is hot enough when I have the forge going. It'd be about perfect. Hey,
Right
James,
on.
apparently the link that I posted for that Black Magic is no longer good. So I updated it in the on the page. If you could repost that.
And if you're watching in the past, I'll have that in the show notes. So if you're watching in the past, I'll have the no. If you're watching in the future,
If you're watching the past, you have a DeLorean.
yes. And where can I get one? Well, thank you again for wasting another 45 minutes with the three of us talking about nonsense. This has been a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to doing it again. If you have any suggestions, ideas, questions, feel free to message any of us, and we'll try and get those on the list. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week.
Don't forget to post your hand planes. I want to see them.
Yes, hashtag Creators Photo Challenge. Looking forward to that. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
See you later.
Adios.